What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So when it comes to Europe is going to play a very big part in Lucid's success, at least in the coming years. So I want to break down and give you some updates in that regard. Over and above that though, a lot of people are messaging saying, is this the bottom? Why have we gone down as much as we are? Where are we going in the short term? So I want to give you some ideas on where potentially we might be going in the short term and some of the causes why we've gone down. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciated. And with that, let's get right to it. So when it comes down to Europe, I think that's one big part of why I really invested in Lucid is because of their expansion plans. Everywhere that they wanted to dominate, such as China, Europe, Saudi Arabia, and more specifically even in North America as well, a lot of them had massive amount of demand. So again, Lucid is going to go in all the areas that it can very much succeed. And based on their Q3 earnings, they do say we'll begin our global expansion with the first deliveries into Europe and into Saudi Arabia by the end of the year. So again, that is a very, very positive sign. I did do a video as well based on Jeff Curry's presentation, and he does say there's a lot of different things and behind the scenes that help Lucid's marketing, and one of which is word of mouth. So simply seeing a Lucid drive down a street, for instance, and then just saying, hey, what is that beautiful vehicle? That is just exactly how word of mouth and Lucid's luxury does get kind of moved around. And so the fact is, if you look here, Lucid is eventually getting a very good foothold in Europe. As of right now, we do have the two that is open. So we do have this, which is Geneva, recently opened, Munich, which was the very first one, but they do have this one that is starting or opening, I guess, in winter 2022, 𝗪𝗧𝗪, if I'm saying that correctly. But once again, I think this is a very beautiful domino effect that, similar to what Jeff said, is just going to be, once you see a little bit more deliveries in Europe, it's just going to have the word of mouth spread so much more. So again, this whole area right here is a massive untapped potential of demand. Everyone wants an EV. And even before the whole Russia situation with Ukraine did happen and oil prices went up, generally, European gas prices are always a little bit more expensive in general. So the fact is, this is why there's always been that massive demand for EVs. And now Lucid is going to come into the scene, being the amazing product it is, and it's just going to thrive. My own interpretation, of course, and based on this, it does look like we're getting a little bit more deliveries in Germany. So once again, that is a very positive thing. And the fact is, I know Lucid's deliveries and production has been a little bit iffy in 2022, but the way I consider it is 2022 is a learning curve. And so they're moving in the right direction. So when it comes to it, yes, a company can fail in certain regards, but what you want to find is companies that pick themselves back up, learn from their mistakes. Are they making the same constant mistakes? No, they're consistently improving. So I think that's one thing, more important point that you need to look for. And like I said, just consider 2022 a little bit more of a learning experience. So when it comes to it, this is exactly why you need to invest in the long term. Because imagine when we have 15 or 20 studios in Europe, imagine all the deliveries that we're going to have as well. This is why this is very advantageous and why I'm very excited about Saudi Arabia. The cost savings. We can easily rail a car to anywhere in Europe for a fraction of the cost than it costs to actually, for instance, right here, for technically them to produce it and then ship it to, I believe, Houston or even maybe Miami and then boat it across to Europe. Cost savings is night and day. So this is why I'm very excited about Saudi Arabia and also Europe. So let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. Like I said at the very beginning, a lot of people are very concerned about us going down and why we've gone down in some regard. Keep in mind though, we are starting to ramp up on production, but behind the scenes though, there still is a level of risk about a potential recession. So this is where unfortunately Lucid is getting dragged down. Fundamentally, nothing is happening behind the scenes with their operations for us to justify us going down. This is why you do see a lot of people saying this is a huge buying opportunity, which in reality, depending on your time horizon, it very much is. But for instance, this Bank of America recently is saying that a lot of people should sell their equities ahead of potentially a rally. and they are saying that in 2023 there's going to be a unemployment shock, potentially causing us to go down. And I think there's a lot of other institutions, more specifically Morgan Stanley recently came out saying that because of the Feds raising the rates as fast as they have, there's going to be a little bit more of a domino effect starting in Q1 2023, where there is going to be a lot of poorer earnings from businesses. And so that will drive down stock prices and affect the broader economy. So this is where a lot of institutions are very bearish, or starting to turn very bearish. So once again, if you want to take it as that, a lot of people like to say, well, when everyone is bearish, that is the perfect time to buy. Well, again, we are getting to that stage in the game. Even more so looking here, it does look like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs are also mirroring exactly what Morgan Stanley and Bank of America are now saying. So once again, let me know your thoughts on that. I also recently did a video on potentially how BlackRock did drop roughly about $250 million worth of Lucid, and they are going through their own set of problems. Not necessarily related to anything economic, but they are going through their own problems, unfortunately, due to kind of environmental and social concerns and things like that. But once again, a lot of institutions behind the scenes are still buying, and you can tell that based on the dark pool and also the secondary market. So this is the dark pool transactions from Friday. You do get some good ones, so 1.68 million, and ultimately I think is just a lot of lower dollar value ones. But again, seeing this level of institutions buying is always a very positive sign. So that's all the transactions from that, and this is the secondary market. So secondary market, anything over 100,000 is pretty good. Keep in mind, this is an exchange meant for retail investors, so you and I trade on the secondary market. Seeing 6.42 million is a very big deal. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. When it comes to the technicals though, we are holding very good support at that $10 range. Again, we are very oversold with stochastic at 8, mind-blowingly so. So I personally feel that we are well overdue for a value rally, and that's not factoring in anything else. Just based on the technicals alone, we should fundamentally go up, and I think that's kind of why we went up a little bit more on Friday as well. But looking as well on momentum, number of retail investors are down as well. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Like I said, we've been holding the $10 support level very well, and hopefully we should be able to trend up from here. Given the circumstances, the low, it's going to be more so psychological barriers and resistance and support points. So 950 we did bounce off of, 955 I do believe. So the fact is that 955 now we do know is a very good support level. So hypothetically between that and $10, until we either get a good catalyst to keep us above, for instance, where we are, or potentially if the broader market does continue to take us down, these are just times that you need to consistently buy. A lot of people are very misunderstood and see the stock price going down and just wonder what is actually happening fundamentally at Lucid. Keep in mind, we can go down to $1. I know that would absolutely suck, but for argument's sake, we could go down to $1 and nothing would change for Lucid's operations. Nothing whatsoever. On the contrary, if we go to $500, nothing fundamentally changes with the operation. This is where a lot of people are, like I said, misunderstood, and people don't realize that Peter isn't looking at the stock price. How can I bring it up 1 or 2 cents? How can I drive it up? A lot of times CEOs do not care about that. What they care about is everything working fundamentally with operations. So a lot of people are misunderstood when it comes down to that. This is why sometimes you do get a little bit more of a discrepancy between the intrinsic value versus where we are at. In reality, based on our book value, we are at a substantial discount based on all of the assets. So meaning if we sold, for instance, the AMP facility and all of Lucid's inventory and various things, most likely we would actually be getting a little bit more of a dollar value versus where we are. So these are times that you buy, plain and simple, but I'm not a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence. With all that, hopefully I answered a lot of your questions on fundamentally why we are going down and why you should really invest in the long term based on Europe and a lot of other expansion plans. Let me know your thoughts on all that in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel and want to support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said, appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.